bad that you'll be able to make it before everything starts. So in a lot of ways, some of what we're all experiencing as realtors, as business people, I think what we're going to find is that we're going to take some of these lessons and carry on with them in how we do business going forward. And Daniel certainly will be. I'm sure everyone else will too. And Tiffany's going to talk a little bit about that in a minute, about how we're changing, how we're doing business, how our launch that's coming up right now on June the 3rd will be a whole new way of doing things that we've never done before. So we're pretty excited about those opportunities to change how we're doing things. Hopefully it makes it a better experience for both yourselves as realtors, but also for your clients. I mean, ultimately, we want to make sure that our clients are getting a really great experience when they're doing business with us. So that's kind of our focus right now. In terms of, you know, where 2020 is it's, none of us expected. I think that, you know, when I often talk about recently about when we did our annual appreciation party back in the beginning of February of 2020, and we were expecting probably the busiest year we were ever going to have. But since then, obviously, some things have changed. But what hasn't seemed to change is there is demand in the marketplace. And I think with the right product, the right deposit structures, there's people looking to buy today. So we still got a lot of launches coming up. I thought I would just kind of give you an overview of that, and then we'll get a little more specific and talk about the more immediate opportunities. As I mentioned, Beverly is the one that's coming up, and that's part of the Thornhill, our master plan community there on Bathurst and Beverly, just above Center Street in Thornhill. And you know, last fall we launched the first of those buildings, and that's about 85% sold now. And the Beverly is the second building with 15 stories, and I think it's just over 200 suites in total that's coming out in the beginning of June. Jenny will talk about a little bit about the suite mix and what the building is. It's actually part of the same condominium corporation that the first building is, same type of timeline in terms of completion for 2023. What we're doing interesting with that launch that is going to be exclusive for our Platinum group that we're coming out on June the 3rd is a really nice deposit structure. So basically it's $7,000 on signing the agreement of purchase and sale. You'll bring it up to 5% in 30 days. And then you're just doing 1% a month from 90 days to 210 days. And after that, the last 10% isn't due until occupancy. So we think that stretched out deposit structure, it will really help your clients. The one thing we're getting feedback from both agents and buyers is that they're looking for deposit structures that let them hang on to their cash flow a bit more. So we're trying to address that issue by creating a more stretched out deposit when we launch at Beverly. Beyond that, the next one after that is coming up very soon is the Artsy, which will be sometime, we haven't set a firm date, but sometime in early July. The Artsy's in Regent Park, where you all know we've done this very, very significant revitalization of that downtown east location. And Artsy is a continuation of the Artworks condominium, part of the same condominium. It's the smaller of the buildings, just over 100 suites. And we're coming out in July at the Artsy. And like all of our buildings in Regent Park, at the Artsy will offer our gradual deposit program where it's 5% in 30 days, and then you can do a gradual deposit of $1,000 a month until you hit 10% or occupancy. So pretty well, without a doubt, the best deposit structure you can find in new construction out in the industry. So that's coming out very soon. At the same time when we release that, we'll also release to the Platinum agents our field house eco-urban towns, which is they're 3-bedroom towns that are very focused on reducing your carbon footprints. We say they're fossil fuel free because all of the systems are electric systems. You've got rooftop solar panels. So if you have a client looking for that kind of grade related living in a great community and a good size suite, these field house towns will be a fantastic buy for them. Then as we go into the fall, We've got two more projects planned for launch. One is in early fall, Square One District Condominiums, which is our partnership with Oxford Properties that owns Square One. And Oxford is doing a very large revitalization of that entire area with 130 acres. And this is the first of the residential condominiums that's going to be part of it. And that's going to be in early fall. Like all of these, when you have an opportunity to buy into the first of a big revitalization, your clients will always do really well. So that's a really exciting one to look forward to. And then in October, we have one of our first home communities, First Home Keelsdale, which is in a great location just above Eglinton, just north of Eglinton and south of Lawrence. And that's a mix of townhomes and mid-rise buildings. And what's really nice there is our incredible 5% deposit program. So all in all, you can see there's a lot we're still coming out with. We're feeling very positive about where the market's going to be as we get into summer and fall. And there's a lot of great opportunities for you to help sell Daniels Communities, which you've always done an incredible job of. And our partnership with you is important to us. And we want to make sure we can help you to be successful. I think I'll turn it over to Jenny. And Jenny, maybe you could talk a little bit more about what they can expect with Beverly.
Thanks, Dominic. So the Thornhill is a 3.5-acre master plan community. It's located at Bathurst and Beverly Glen, which is just a bit north of Center Street on Bathurst. It's a short walk away from Promenade Mall, Walmart Smart Center, many grocery stores, including T&T Supermarket, tons of shopping and restaurants nearby as well. There is the new Viva transit stop right on Bathurst Street. Construction's almost complete, and the Viva line will be fully operational by the time of the occupancies at the Thornhill. We are 2 minutes away from Highway 7, so it gives you easy access to Markham, Richmond Hill, Vaughan Metro Center as well. And we're just off Highway 407, making it even more convenient and faster to connect to all of GTA. Our site consists of 4 condominium residences, and they are built at the same time, so completion for the entire community is slated to be in 2023. And I can see that a few of you on this Zoom call today were in attendance when we last presented at your brokerage on Woodbine last fall 2019 to introduce the Thornhill. So that was the first 25-story building, but in about 2 weeks' time, on June 3rd, like Dominic said, we will be releasing the second building called the Beverly. It is a 15-story residence, and it's actually connected to the first building by a 6-story podium. And they will share the concierge, co-working zone, full-size gymnasium court, which is a flexible space for anything from basketball, badminton, volleyball. There's also the 7th floor rooftop with barbecues, patios, lounge spaces, of course our gardening plots, children's play area, and party room. So in total, there will be 206 residential units. The suite mix is in line with the demand that we saw in the first building, and we now have suites between the range of 900 to 1,100 square feet. So just to give you a brief overview of the suite mix or unit sizes, the 1-bedrooms, they go from about 460 to 601 square feet. 1-bedroom plus dens are 560 to about 790 square feet. 2-bedrooms are about 750 to 850 square feet. 2-bedroom plus dens are about 850 to about 920. And then we have a few 3-bedrooms as well, around 1,000 square feet. We're also going to introduce the Beverly Townhome Collection, and it's an exclusive series of 9 2-story townhomes with their own street-level access to their townhome. They go from about 1,000 to 1,600 square feet, so 2 bedrooms, 2 3-bedroom plus dens, and they will enjoy the resident exclusive amenities that the Thornhill has to offer. So overall, it's a well-established neighborhood with existing residential in the area, and it's a mature community with high resale value. So I'm going to pass it over to Tiffany, and she'll tell you more about our new exciting digital process.
Thanks, Jenny. So for the first time, we're going to be doing a virtual release starting with Beverly at the Thornhill. By now, you would have received our digital sneak peek package from Tony that will give you some assets to start marketing this exciting community. Our website to register yourself and your clients is www.thethornhill.com. Just click on the register now button. And in the next few weeks, we'll be having our exclusive Platinum Agent Preview that Tony will be attending on behalf of Home Life Landmark. And then following our Zoom preview, we'll be sending you a link to our electronic preview package, which will include our brochure, the pricing, floor plans, the worksheets, and the procedures for purchasing. And then all the worksheets from your brokerage will be submitted through Tony. And then once the suites have been allocated to you and your clients, the sales team will be reaching out and scheduling a Zoom video chat with you and your client. And during that call, what we'll be doing is we'll be re-verifying the worksheet information. We'll be reviewing the agreement of purchase and sale with your clients. We'll also discuss timing when your client will receive the APS through DocuSign, as well as the deposit check schedule. Once your client receives the APS through DocuSign, they'll have 24 hours to sign the agreement and send it back to us, as well as drop off their initial deposit checks. So that's kind of the virtual release summary in a nutshell. We'll have more detailed instructions when we send out the materials on our preview for the digital event.
What's nice about that is from preview until signing your agreements, if your client prefers not to, they never have to come into the sales office at all. You know, of course, we're going to be there if you want to come in and bring your client in with you for an appointment. We're obviously there to help you and service your clients. But I think what this really does is it takes, you know, obviously this is in response to what we're all experiencing. And the reality is, as I was saying earlier, much of what we're doing with this is something that's going to carry on with business. When you think of the convenience that this affords you with your clients, instead of having to, you know, think of what our sales days usually look like, where, you know, there's 200 people waiting to sign deals and you're waiting for a couple of hours to be able to sit down and do it. You could literally be signing this at 9 o'clock in the evening after relaxing and having dinner and getting it done and send it back online, rather than all of the coordination it takes to arrange to come in. So much of what the way we're pivoting here is stuff we're going to continue with on an ongoing basis. And, you know, we'll you know, obviously there'll be changes as we go along, as we respond to you and your clients and what helps you the best. But we're committed to really making the experience for yourselves and your clients a really good one, and something that is actually going to be an improvement from what we did, rather than just looking at this as, well, we're doing it differently because of the COVID issues. So we're pretty excited about how the business is progressing. I'm sure you're doing the same in your business. You're probably meeting your clients a lot more, either by phone or online with, you know, venues like Zoom. But we all have to look at our businesses and see how we can become more efficient. And certainly not having to spend an hour and a half trying to get out to a site in traffic, it allows you to have more time, whether that more time means more time to work other clients, or means being able to be at home with your families. It kind of is all a positive, the way I see it. Does anyone have any questions about whether it's about the launches or about what Daniels is doing or anything, or any, you know, I'd love to hear what you're all experiencing yourselves in your business, anything you're doing different that you're finding effective. I think this type of interaction is really helpful for us. I mean, the more we hear from you and understand what your concerns, what your needs are, the better we can respond to it. I'm not sure if have we lost Tony? I'm not sure if people are able to actually.
Yeah, everybody's muted, it looks like. Let me see. I don't see Tony on the call anymore either.
That's probably.
My name is Bobby.
No,
Just in regards to the Boost program, is there anything like that happening with this project?
no, there isn't. We had the Boost program, a very special one at Markham and Shepherd. But actually, even at Markham and Shepherd, we've just run out of the amount of funding we had there. It was very successful, and we were selling a lot even during this lockdown up at Markham and Shepherd. So no, we don't have any Boost funding in Thornhill. But again, what we're doing is coming up with what we think is a really attractive deposit schedule that'll help your clients out.
Okay, that's and with the program that was, I think they spoke about it late last year, where first-time buyers were able to put down 5%, and then I think it was the government that was going to give 5%, and then if it was a new construction, they would give another 5%. Would you know if that's still eligible, or is it? I'm just a little bit unfamiliar. Is it, or is it only for certain buildings like Daniel's where they get funding?
So the program you're referring to is the CMHC program, which
Okay.
is a nationwide a program that's available on, as you mentioned, you had it correct. It's on resale, it's 5%, and on new construction, it's 10%. So that is a program that's available everywhere. There's parameters in terms of qualifying. But the qualifying, so a program like that, wherever you're taking your client for the mortgage, if it's one of the banks, they'll sit down and they'll be able to tell your client whether or not they qualify for it.
Okay, great. That's great information. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, is anyone else have other questions? I talked to Dominic. I talked to Linda yesterday. I have agent asking for the townhome at the Markham Shepherd.
Yeah.
And we are working on that inventory for that project. And yeah, so overall, I think that the market is going to rebound back very soon. And from resale side, I feel that our office is busier every day in the past 2 weeks. And initially, we have only two calls the girl on the phone. They are not that busy, but in the last week, we have to have 3 girls, and then weekend we have added 1 more girls, because that the phone just keep coming, getting busier and busier every day. I think the market will bounce back very soon.
Yeah, we've seen, just if we take a look at this past weekend at Thornhill, we did 3 sales on the weekend. At Markham Shepherd, I think it was about
12.
12.
12, yeah.
So I mean that's a really good weekend, right? And it really shows you that the demand is there, and I think that I think people are looking for new launches coming out, and we've got 2 coming up within the next 30 days. So we're feeling pretty confident about what we're hearing from both real estate agents and from prospects that are registering with us. So I think you're all going to see that there's a bit of a pent-up demand out there, because most people have been kind of locked away for the last 60 days, and it didn't change their need for housing. This kind of forced shutdown, it was necessary, but if you were looking for a home and wanted to move into a new home, it hasn't changed your that need for a new home. So you may very well see in the next 60 to 90 days a little bit of a burst of activity as some of that pent-up demand starts to be released.
Dominic, why don't you talk about something about the construction costs and the trend of the new home, new condo pricing? Because at this moment, some buyers, especially investors, they are trying to looking for some called deals, like best deal. Like someone is asking me, like, do you think that the pricing of the new condo, new home, will them drop in the near future, or maybe just because of COVID-19, my answer is no, but I say, you know, sometimes you have the mentality is maybe harmful to our real estate agent. When they talk about how can we convince people, say, COVID-19 will not make the price lower, rather it may increase the kind of construction cost.
Yeah, Tony, you brought up a really great subject that I get this question all the time, and on a daily basis, I'm talking about this, not just to clients and to real estate agents, but just also internally as we look at what our costs are to construct. And you know, there's two parts to that question. How does COVID particularly affect the cost of construction, and then does that mean down the road that somehow prices, you know, people looking for a deal? I mean, everyone wants a deal. It's just human nature to want a deal. But in terms of the cost of, you know, for COVID itself, it's actually increased the cost of construction because you think about how we've had to change how we're building today, and having the social distancing that's required in order to stay operating, and all the extra cleaning we're having to do, and all the wash stations, all the things that makes, and people can't work close together. So the actual immediate cost of COVID-19 has been to drive up the cost of construction further in order to address the issues that are involved with doing construction, when you're also having to address the issues that can affect, you know, catching the virus. So our immediate cost has gone up, and it's considerable. And that's not just ours, that's everyone in the industry. Now, when you go further than that, and you talk about, you know, where are the trends in construction costs and how does that relate to pricing? So in order for us to, well, one of the kind of the misconceptions I think would be in the general public in terms of seeing the market go up the way it has. You know, people are looking at the prices going up in double digits over the last few years and thinking, wow, the developers are really making a lot of money because the prices are going up so much. When in reality, what's been happening from our side of the industry is that the margins that we're making are getting tighter rather than going up. And that's because direct result of actual cost. You know, some of the increase in cost has been municipally driven in terms of development charges and that, which have been some very significant increases over the last few years. But much of it is the increase in construction costs that have gone up approximately 2% or so in the last 18 months to 2 years. And that's a significant portion when you think of this, how that translates through to the cost of the suite that someone is buying. And those construction costs are both in labor and they're also in materials. So, you know, when people say, well, if the markets go down during COVID, shouldn't prices all of a sudden drop? And the answer is it doesn't. Our cost to build doesn't change, it's gone higher. And in terms of the labor portion of it, the thing about constructing or selling and constructing a new condo, there's this delay from when you sell to when the construction happens to when it's completed. When you go in and purchase at the Beverly right now, you're going to get a closing that's going to happen in 2023, which means that everything that's been sold in new condominiums since 2017 is either under construction or just started. So everyone in the construction industry is busy even if you don't sell another suite in 2020, the construction industry would be busy constructing what's already been sold up to about 2024. So it's really hard to see, there's no driving economic force that would force construction costs to go down when they're busy for the next 3.5 to 4 years. It would take years of slowed down sales in order to have an effect on what those costs are. And the reality is that we're not going to have a market that's going to be that slow for 2.5 years in order to drive down those costs, because there's still demand. You know, the GTA is continuing to be the economic engine of this country, and that's not about to change. So, you know, the idea that a 2-month lockdown would cause prices in new homes to go down immediately, well, it's not economically feasible. And the reality is that from a practical standpoint, if a developer goes on sale and cannot achieve the price that will at least give them a reasonable margin, they're just not going to go ahead with that. And I think we've seen that in some of the cancellations that we've seen, which are really unfortunate. And most of these cancellations we've seen, there's been some that had other reasons, but most of them have been simply because the cost of construction was higher than they anticipated, and the selling price that they sold at, it wasn't possible to go ahead and build, and they weren't able to get their construction financing because of it. So, all of these factors are going to continue, and like I said, a couple of months of a slowdown because of COVID, which was a forced slowdown in the sense, the market didn't slow down because people didn't want to buy. The market slowed down because we had to go into a lockdown. So it was a government decision to slow down the economy during this time while people stayed at home. So these costs are going to continue to be there, and you would have to have a very significant downturn in sales for a prolonged period of time before construction costs would all of a sudden be affected adversely in the sense of going down.
Thank you, Dominic. Yeah, from my understanding is that I think that after the COVID-19 and next year onward, that both our municipal and the provincial government will need lots of money to cover their debts.
Yeah.
John Tory already said that there's no parking fee collected in the past 2 months. There's lots of shortage of the funds. Like even in Markham, they are talking about the delayed property tax. Toronto, the same thing. So end of the day, the city need a bigger budget, and then that bigger budget translated will be for new condo project. They need to include the DC charge, right?
Yeah.
So very basic understanding that I don't think that the Toronto condo will decrease in terms of price if they are not increased a lot, but overall the GTA market will be strong and solid. Plus, so many developers, they did do some adjustment in terms of deposit, extended deposit. That is, once in a few years opportunity. If the investor catch it, then that's a good way to get it. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you call when you miss it, you missed it. The pandemic finished in 2 or 3 months, then no developer will offer you a 1% every month or 1,000 every month deposit anymore, right?
No, because
thank you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Tony. It's as you know, I mean, often our deposits are driven also by just what the bank requires from us to get the construction financing. So the bank is looking at just how much deposits you have in order to determine where they feel comfortable in lending you $200 million to build a building. And typically they like to see, for instance, 10% in within 90, maximum 120 days. So as soon as we're altering deposits like this, like we're doing at Beverly, these are not permanent types of things we can do. These are incentives that we offer. For instance, right now, we're just going to offer it to our platinum agents. And it's something that costs us money to do, and because it's out of the ordinary what the bank is looking to do. So it's the nice thing about a company like Daniels is we've been in this industry for, I think it's 35, 36 years, maybe 37 years. And so we have such a good, strong relationship with the top tier banks that they have confidence in what we're doing. They know that, we're both a developer and a construction company. So, they have confidence. We understand our costs. We understand what it takes to take a building from development to finish. And so they're more confident in lending to us. And that's how we're able to come up with deposit structures like this and deposits like where we'll do the artsy with total of 10%, only 5% in 30, and then 1,000 a month. So most developers don't have the ability to do that, and we do because of our relationships with the bank. But Tony, you're right. Much of these these great deposit structures, they aren't going to last long. So this is if you have a client who's interested in the location, no, you're not going to get some kind of huge discount on price, because that's just not going to happen. It's not possible to do because the margins are so small. But being able to take advantage of a deposit structure like this is a short-term thing that it has value if you're ready to buy.
Thank you, Dominic. Yeah, so when I deal with our client, and then sometimes the agent asks me the question that is, which project is good to buy, which area is good for investment. So I think that, you mentioned one thing, in the past couple of years, some projects being canceled. When we look back, that when they launched the project, they did not launch the project in a solid foundation. And when some project come out, like a small townhouse in Scarborough or in Markham, that first of all, the developer is not a long-term player. You don't know them. You don't know they have any product in the past finished or not. Secondly, when they launch their project, they have a pricing structure is not really make sense at all. Deposit structure doesn't make sense at all. Then third is, like we talked yesterday, that rental guarantee that actually one of my agents found the article last night for me is on the National Post. They talk about that if you take the builder's rental guarantee, that may affect your ability to get the 24,000 equity rebate portion back from CRA. So when we talk about something called deals, that we better have a clear idea, which we want to use this concept to equip our agent that certain good deal may not good deal in the end as to you as a purchaser or buyer, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so landmark agent, do you have any other questions? Anyone have a question? Anyone have something to share here? I guess that we will